Hey folks, Farrak here. Okay, so I've been getting a lot of emails and requests to continue the poker tutorials. I apologize in general, I've just been really behind on videos because I had midterms and work got really difficult, and it was my birthday, things got complicated. Anyhow, let's continue. So we discussed, the odds of you getting a card out of a deck. We went to the game layout and we talked about how people place bets and stuff, and then finally last time we discussed which cards beat which cards. Now at this point you probably think, hey, I know which cards win, who's going to win, I know how the game works, and I know generally like the odds of cards coming up so I can play poker. But you're really missing the most important thing in my mind, and that is bankroll. Now everyone has their own way of doing bankroll, and it makes a tremendous difference. Now there's an idea I have to explain to you before we talk about bankroll. So there's a probability that you're going to win something, right? Let's take Phil Ivey, okay? Let's say Phil Ivey is the best poker player in the world, and most people would say that, but let's just make that statement. Now what would you say? Is Phil Ivey going to beat me every single game he plays me for 100 years if we played together? Of course not, right? Let's give Phil Ivey the benefit of the doubt. Let's say he's 95% chance of beating me. That means if we have 100 games, I'll win 5, he'll win 95 of them. Okay, let's say he's that much better than me. And let's say Phil Ivey has $10 million. Let's pretend me, Farrak, I only have a 5% chance of winning, but I am a gabillionaire. So I have tons and tons of money. But let's say I too only have $10 million. Let's just take this wonderful make-up scenario, okay? Here's the question. Phil Ivey is that much better than me. Now, as an amazing poker player, if I said, hey Phil, let's play a heads-up game of poker, me versus you. In other words, we'll play this, oops, right? Only this will be gone. Yeah, where's this here? In fact, let's do it like this. And what have I just done? I'm making a lot of trouble trying to be fancy here. You see what happens? Okay, so here we go. We have a game. I said you, whatever. Okay, let's call this Farrak, okay? So here's the big question. Should Phil Ivey play me a game where we each come in the game with $10 million? Now that's the big question. He's that much better than me. And the answer is never. And not only is the answer never, the answer is him being such a good poker player would know that this is a terrible idea. Now you're going to ask yourself, wait a minute. The guy worked so hard to get $10 million. He has such a great chance of crushing me and walking away with $20 million. But let's take this crazy situation, okay? Let's say Farrak and Phil sat down at a table. Okay? And the very first hand, Phil Ivey gets aces. And I get queens. Okay? Now, I know Queen. Queen is an amazing starting hand. So I push in $1 million. I make a very big first bet. And Phil Ivey's smiling to himself. He knows he got me crushed. He raises the $2 million. Let's say Farrak wasn't such a good poker player. He says, $2 million. Oh, this guy thinks he has me beat. I have queens. Okay? And I shove in more, and he puts in more, and we go all in. The very first hand, and the pot has $20 million in it. This is all of Phil Ivey's poker money. And this is great because he's going to win, right? He made the right choice. The flop comes. Ace, queen, 10. Holy cow. Phil's winning. No chances, right? Then comes a 6, and then the river comes, and it's a queen. The odds of this happening are ridiculous, right? But what happened? I beat him. So it's a ridiculous chance, and there's no way this is going to happen, but it did. sorry, Phil, your 7 years in poker were worthless because you're now down to no money and you are completely broke. And now Farag walks away with $20 million, which is great for everyone else because we are now going to buy out Battleforge. So sucks for you, Phil. This is why Bankroll is so important. It's an extreme case, but the fact is, I played this phone poker game. What's it called? Dragon Play Poker. You want to look for me? My username is Battleforge. Okay, it's on Android. And it's called, I think it's called Dragon Play. Maybe it's just called Poker. It's the biggest poker app. Anyhow, my username is Battleforge. So they start you with 1,000 gold coins, right? Last I checked, I was up to, I believe, 1 billion gold coins. Now, that's a pretty amazing feat. I think there are only like 200, 300 players that have reached 1 billion, and there are like 10 million active players. So how did I do it? I mean, I'm literally 1.5 million. It's how did I do it? And the answer is because I bankrolled smart. And even though I started with 1,000, I never played at the tables where the pots were 1,000 or 500, even 100. I played at small play. And my general rule is this. It's actually probably not a great rule, but it's my rule. My rule is 10%. Never walk into a game with more than 10% of your money. Never. And that's my personal rule. Maybe if I had this big an advantage and I was playing a complete noob, I would raise it 20 or 30%. But never go into a game with more than 10% of your money. So if you have $9,000, go to a game maximum with $900. And if you know there's someone like Phil sitting at the table and you're pretty sure you're going to be beat, maybe going with, less, 450, 5%. Never going with more than 10% of your money because there's always, even though, poker is skill, and it really is, and you understand the probabilities, and you get the game layout, and you know what we're going to talk about next, which is about bluffing and making smart bets. That's the next game, the next video I'm going to talk about. But even with all that, there's always a chance that some ridiculous thing is going to happen, like this queen at the end. It's a ridiculous chance. It's not going to happen, right? But it did. So you never want to put in too much money. So my personal thing is to play 10% of your money. So even in that poker game, I have full tilt poker, and I'm not even playing for real money. And even in this Android game, where I started with $1,000, the way I moved up is when I got to $1 million. So everyone who makes $1 million in that game, they're like, oh, cool, right? So what do? Then they go to the tables where people have $1 million hands. But that's ridiculous, because what are these players going to do when they get ace-ace? They're going to go all in, right? And then somebody beats them with a hand, and all their months of building up that $1,000 into $1 million is gone because they played stupid. So no, when you reach $1 million, then go to the $100,000 tables and play there. Play smart and slow. You have to not rush. If you rush it, you are going to be crushed. I'm not going to do it now because I don't remember exactly where, but there's this website, you could search for it, where you can see anybody's history on online poker. So you could see Flavie, Patrick Antonius, all these great poker players, and you go and you see these guys, even these amazing poker players, and you see, oh, they're doing great. Oh, some months they're making so much money. And then you see some months they just had terrible months and they lost like so much money. And you think, well, they're amazing poker players. How did it happen? And it just happens. You lose games. So you have to be careful how much you play. This is my personal number, 10%. Professionals will probably tell you to do even less. But I play 10%. That's my way of doing it. Just never get cocky and think, oh, I'm so good or this and that, and you want to play your whole hand. Never, ever, ever do that. Okay? That's my lesson for today. There are more complicated issues with bankroll. I'd rather not get into it. Just keep that one idea in mind. Never bet all your money, even if you're playing a game. If you want to take your poker game seriously and not just, oh, I'm drunk, I'm going to play poker. But you want to actually build up, like in the game I'm playing now where I'm up to like 4,000 coins. I don't know what it is. And you start with 1,000. Don't play it all in one shot. It's just not smart. All right? Hope you guys learned a lot from this video. And comment if you liked it and you want more, because I know I've been spammed with poker videos. The next one we're going to be talking about is real hands-on and more face-to-face poker and how to deal with actual stuff. But this is probably the most important video, and do not forget it, all right? Because I don't want to see you studying everything and learning all the rules and everything, and then it comes down to the actual game, you make one stupid move, and you put all your money in, and you're gone. So, yeah.